The Nigerian custodial system. The vulnerable state of released inmates or prisoners. The temptation, resistance, and victory.
It is frustrating seeing all the efforts put into releasing inmates go up in smoke.
Yeah, they come out, sometimes into the cold embrace of a hostile world. Sometimes there is no one to receive them.
These people from counseling suffer stigmatization and difficulty in giving themselves back to life. They suffer stigmatization of rehabilitating themselves into the society from whence they came before the disruption of their lives.
It is the same thing with the survivors of human trafficking and the sexually exploited. They leave the country with the hope of a brighter future, but are brought back shattered, in despair and hopeless.
Whenever human persons, out of greed, selfishness, conceit, decide to make use of others for their own selfish purposes, try to exploit others, then you demean the purpose for which God actually created the human person. And so we need to take it out completely.
So it is a good news to let people know that human trafficking is not a way of life. With all the promises that they, of course, those who involve in it, what are they fit? They gain nothing.
And even when family members or friends manage to turn up, the journey towards rehabilitation is usually impossible without a skill.
And when there is a skill, there is no support structure, no availability of basic trade equipment, and no money to procure them. It is a near impossible situation for the ex-prisoner. He needs shelter, at least temporarily, and skills to help him or her maneuver a society that has increasingly become a place where dreams come to die.
The Nigerian custodial system as at March 2024. Total inmate population 78,621. Total male inmates 76,854. Total female inmates 1,767. Total convicted inmates 24,444. Convicted male inmates 24,000. Convicted female inmates 444. 54,107. Awaiting trial male 52,854. Awaiting trial female 1,323. Crime and other antisocial behaviors as old as mankind and highlights the point of imperfection of the human species. To promote and ensure social cohesion and balance, the society builds special holding places for those whose conduct and activities threaten societal values.
Globally, we may mention the exception of maybe one country or two like Sweden. It's still acceptable that custodial punishment is one of the ways to deal with crime, especially. Of course, we have the civil offenses, which are not basically crimes, but provide for punishment through keeping the person in correctional custody. Okay, but looking beyond the punishment itself, we look at the place where this punishment is being served. How adequate has our correctional centers or facilities been over the years?
The essence of building prisons or custodial centers is not to destroy those in prisons, but to reform them. Sadly, in spite of efforts by the authorities, only an exceeding small number of those who come out of custodial centers end up redeeming their lives. A much greater percentage continue with lifestyles that take them back into prisons.
The accommodation where they stay, they are made to lie on the bare floor, on mats, and they stay so tight in a cell. Many of them told us that the cells, which should be occupied by 15 to 18 people, have 60 people in them. How reformational in nature can that kind of thing be? So if you look at the practical aspect of it, you will see that it is not reforms, rather it is more of dehumanization.
A defective criminal justice system, an unforgiving, unsympathetic, and fearful citizenry, lack of post-prison opportunities, and absence of adequate opportunities have all combined to work against social reintegration of the formerly incarcerated. The narrative must change. New opportunities for redemption must be embraced. Enter the Justice, Development and Peace Center, Lagos Archdiocese of Catholic Church, JDPC, with an ambition like no other and a vision that is unparalleled. The JDPC intends to build the first truly reformative home, a halfway house for those forgotten by society who once lost their way but are now willing to retrace their steps.
This home is to provide succor and a place where they can find their feet before they are reintegrated into society. The rehab home is to also provide skills. They will be able to acquire skills that will be useful to them in life. A place of shelter, a place to rest, a place to be human beings again. And that is why we are calling on all and sundry to join us, to help us to be able to build this very laudable initiative.
Equipped with over 30 rooms for both male and female, a library for those intent on catching up with the development of the intellect, a fully equipped and functioning workroom for skilled impartation and training.
We know that the work of humanity, the work of bringing about good governance, the work of making sure that the voice of the voiceless is heard, can be quite challenging and daunting. And that's why the fundraising aspect is there.
The JDPC has tried to fill the lacuna left by government for the enhancement and betterment of human beings. And that is why this project to build a rehabilitation home for deportees and for returnee prisoners.
It has been a long journey to get to this moment of actualization. The vision for the halfway home and the attempts to turn vision to reality have not been without disappointment and dashed hopes.
The JDPC is in the line or in the course of producing and building and constructing a rehabilitation and a vocational center. Now, this vocational center, you may want to know, has always been in the mind of the JDPC from the time of Cardinal, the Archbishop Emeritus of the Archdiocese of Lagos, Anthony Okoji, when this vision was birthed. But along the line, some things had to stall for funding issues and a few other logistical reasons.
This home is to provide succor and a place where they can find their feet before they are reintegrated into society. The rehab home is to also provide skills. They will be able to acquire skills that will be useful to them in life.
There is hope for everyone regardless of their circumstances. It is true that the seed for societal decay is sown by human hands, sometimes wittingly, other times unwittingly. But it's also a fact that the society has within itself the power to self-regulate and the ability to redeem itself. So it is so with those who find themselves at the bottom of the ladder, such as ex-convicts or inmates, as well as victims of sexual abuse, exploitation, and trafficking. After all, if Mary Magdalene and the thief on the cross could find last-minute redemption, who then can be immune from God's mercy if they open up their hearts?
We know full well that there are a lot of persons who, for want of maybe man's inhumanity to man, have found themselves in very underprivileged and disadvantaged positions in the society. We have a lot of destitutes. We have our friends, our brothers and our sisters from the correctional facilities who have been set free, and sometimes they find nowhere to go. They find nothing to do. We also get to read in the news every now and again the migration processes that take place in the country and how certain of our brothers and sisters are being repatriated and brought back to the country from the Middle East, from Libya, parts of Africa, and of course from Europe. Now, sometimes these persons come back and they are lost at sea, not knowing exactly what they should do. Now, this rehabilitation center is a stopgap where we bring these persons together and train them and let them know that all life is not lost. There is hope for a better Nigeria, and they can make good use of this center to further benefit themselves. It is a center that in its conception had the mind or the thought of bridging the gap between the correctional facilities and the center, putting it simply, from prison to society.
JDPC's Half Home is set up to do one part of what a custodian center is supposed to do, and that is the reformation of the dejected and abandoned after society has imposed its legal punishment on them. This reformation must be shown back into the society for sexual purposes.
These young people will not be like gunpowder that we are sitting upon and that will explode and cause much more confusion in the nation.
My word is encouraged to youth that to be one, to not to lose focus, to be determined on what they want to do with their lives, and not to be used by any person for their selfish interests at the detriment of their future and their life.
Unfortunately, the nature and character of the country's socio-political system seem to make these achievements of this noble objective almost impossible.
In the past 6 months, my organization, for example, has released over 50 people in different correctional centers in Lagos State alone. And once they are out, we take them on and we get their stories recorded. And part of our questions to each of them are the facilities where you stayed. Some of them stayed 2 months, but some stayed more than 5 years. We've had situations in the past 8 to 10 months where we released someone who stayed about 8 years without trial, and then someone who the courts gave order for his release in 2021 but was now released in 2023. So he stayed extra 2 years and 1 month. In all of these instances, we ask them how adequate is accommodation, feeding, Medicare, recreation. These are the things that should be basic. They are not yet reformatory in nature. When you talk of reforms, you are now talking of something beyond the ordinary.
The increasing importance of non-governmental organizations to the overall running of the society cannot be overemphasized. Serious governments, especially in growing democracies, increasingly welcome their interventions in the various thematic areas of their engagements.
It takes a person who came in there with a sound mind. It takes that person from soundness of mind to something else. Many of them get out from there not happy, having revenge at the center of at the core of their soul.
From governance issues, healthcare, social welfare initiatives, the criminal justice system, human trafficking, etc. They have continued to complement the activities of governments over the years. The present rehabilitation home of the JDPC is one of such efforts.
The 10th of May too is a day we are setting aside to raise funds, to complement and to further carry out the task, our primary responsibility of spreading the gospel of God's grace to the nations, to the world, to the ends of the earth, especially within the confines of Lagos State.
A place of shelter, a place to rest, a place to be human beings again. And that is why we are calling on all and sundry to join us, to help us to be able to build this very laudable initiative.
The JDPC wants to set a precedent that it hopes others, such as governments, corporate institutions, and philanthropists, would emulate. The body wants to send a message to the rejected and dejected in the society. We have your back. Do not despair. That message is a halfway home. But this can only happen when similar charity-minded individuals and entities identify with this objective to turn a long-nurtured dream to reality.
It's really tight, close-knit and well-connected.
I would describe my dad as a very principled man, and one of the first things that comes to mind when I think about him is Islam. So my dad is very known for his faith, and it translates this in this. You can't miss that about him. It's really just there. He's also a disciplinarian. He owns a school, as you would have seen from like most of the video. He owns a school, and so he has to have that element of discipline in him, which also reflects in how people see him and what he does on a day-to-day basis. But besides that, he's a very fun person. He loves to dance. He likes to move his body. He really loves like exercising, and just being fully there in anything that he's doing. But he's a very fun person. He's very chatty. I really love chatty.
Somewhere in the heart of Okota, a bustling district of Lagos, Nigeria's former capital and currently its commercial hub and cultural melting pot, sits a majestic and upscale educational institution whose uniqueness amongst institutions of its kind speaks volumes about the expansive vision of its founder and director, his wide horizons and cosmopolitan worldview, his deep intentions towards the socio-economic development environment and his country as a whole, and his deep concern for the legacy he, and by extension those he has mandated to help actualize his vision, would bequeath to coming generations. Like the institution he founded, His Eminence Sheikh Prince Muhammad Mansour Al-Mansur Akinola Olabi Bodun Williams is a man of many dimensions. He is a business entrepreneur, a leader on both the temporal and spiritual levels, a scholar, and an accomplished manager of men and resources. This is reflected not only in his royal background as a scion of the two ruling houses in Lagos, or in his rich and varied experiences in all the places life has taken him so far, but also in the character of his creation, the first Islamic English Education Foundation Academy, also known as FAEF Academy.
When Islamic principle activities came into my life, of course, I started publishing journals, Force of Islam International journals. Then it occurred to me that that one was not taking care of the little ones, hence there should be a school for the little ones. More so, to bring to an end, if possible, what we went through, where we go to secular school in the morning and have to go to Arabic school in the evenings. That is not too good for today's learning process. And then I had to pioneer something that can embrace both at a go, which people thought it can never be possible. But Allah helped me now to pioneer. Journals I pioneered made way for so many Islamic journals later. The same thing, this school is the first of its kind all over the world. That they brought about my person being turned to a consultant in the modern day Islamic education.
This is a school which, since its inception in 1984, has blazed the trail in combining the best of Islamic instruction with the best of Western formal education at the nursery, primary, post-primary and advanced levels, with a view towards inculcating in the minds, hearts and consciousness of young Muslims the most sublime learning, tenets and values of both worlds. Located at number 11 Prince Hamidu Williams Way /9 Chief Wachuku Drive in Okota, Lagos, this unique institution, which prides itself in being the oldest continually operating private school of its kind in Nigeria, marks a radical departure from what obtained in former times when Islamic and Western education and standards were mutually exclusive and often at odds with each other, a situation in which students imbibed the trappings of Western education but were left spiritually empty.
I came into it because I want to save the future of Muslim kids, not going through the hassles that people like us went through in acquiring Islamic education and being a proper Muslim. Today, mashallah, I'm grateful to God that I've been able to pioneer what people thought wasn't possible, bridging both secular education and Islamic education. Now too should be first-class citizen.
Sheikh Williams' passion for excellence in this most innovative of endeavors is born out of his desire not only to uphold the high standards and quality of life and to pass on the values on which he grew up, but also to correct the anomaly occasioned by the dichotomy between the Islamic and Western models of education. His Eminence Sheikh Prince Muhammad Mansour Al-Mansur Akinola Olabi Bodunrin Williams was born in the mid-1950s into the large, aristocratic and influential Williams family of Itakose Olowogbowo in Eko, as Lagos was called before the advent of Europeans on these shores. An important seat of traditional authority which has served as a stronghold of the power and majesty of the Obas of Lagos from time immemorial, the ancient community of Eko was a thriving center of commerce as far back as pre-colonial days.
I'm a typical Eko boy, Eko in Lagos State. Alhamdulillah, I was given birth to on Lagos Island proper. I say Eko proper now, island proper. The island that was known as the time I was given birth to proper used to be Lagos Island, where we have Isaleko, Olowogbowo, and the rest.
A coastal community, it still enjoys the serenity occasioned by its auspicious location along an extensive shoreline characterized by lagoons, pristine beaches, luxuriant vegetation, and the refreshing breeze of the Atlantic Ocean. Not only was it agriculturally self-sufficient even back in the day, Eko is surrounded by nature's bounty of all kinds, including a rich supply of seafood from the lagoons and the ocean. From its culturally homogeneous beginnings, the area has over the years seen a tremendous influx of foreigners from all over the country and beyond. Over the years, alas, Eko has lost its innocence. Today, it's a bubbling but crowded city in Lagos, the former capital of Nigeria. This has, however, not diminished its historic and cultural importance in the life of the state and the nation as a whole. With its numerous monuments and historical landmarks, such as the Iga Idugono, the Palace of the Oba of Lagos, the Enuowa Mosque, as well as the first public water tap in Nigeria, to name a few, it is a living, breathing museum chronicling the history, arts and culture of Lagos and indeed of Nigeria. In fact, it can be said without any fear of contradiction that Eko remains in a timeless way the very heart of Lagos State. On both sides of his family lineage, His Eminence Sheikh Prince Muhammad Mansour Al-Mansur Akinola Williams descended from royalty. His father, Prince Lamidu Hamidu Akombiaro Williams, now of blessed memory, of whom Prince Muhammad was the 12th child, was among the most powerful and influential personalities in the Lagos Island of his time. A double prince from both the Akinsemoyin and Ologun Kutere ruling houses of Lagos Island. His family tree on his father's, that is the Williams side, also boasts of connections to the lineage of the Awujale, the paramount ruler of Ijebu land, as well as to the Dagburewe ruling house of Idowa.
Williams from the beginning are great merchants. They are the earlier trading partners with the English people. Hence, the family house is very close to the marina where the foreign ship arrives, and they are the one that trade with all these foreign merchants from England, from Portugal, and the rest like that.
A highly successful entrepreneur, Prince Lamidu Hamidu Akombiaro Williams was an importer of textile and garment-related equipment, products and accessories such as sewing machines, buttons, buckles, needles and threads, etc. Not only did he set up the first garment industry in Nigeria, he was also a trendsetter in the nation's fashion and textile industry of the time. He introduced new and hitherto unknown clothes-making devices and other industrial goods into Nigeria, in partnership with German and other Western companies. In addition, Prince Lamidu Williams also had major investments in goldsmithing. On his maternal side, His Eminence Prince Muhammad Mansour Al-Mansur Williams is the son of Olori Agba Kosenotu Iyajuya Aduni Williams, who holds the titles of Borokini Adini of Aguda Central Mosque in Aguda, Surulere, Lagos, and the Alari Adini of Nawaruddin Society of Nigeria, among others. She is the daughter of Alhaja Chief Sinotu Atupa Palo, first Iya Adini of Lagos Central Mosque, also the Iya Adini of Lagos and later of Nigeria, equally from the lineage of Eletu Odigbo of Lagos, a family of noblemen who act as the Prime Minister of the Oba of Lagos and historically served as the principal kingmaker and traditional Prime Minister of Eko. She is also from the Olorogun Ide chieftaincy of Lagos State. The highly regarded matriarch, the Sheikh's mother, is an influential market leader with a thriving establishment in the Ereko, Idumota, Okoawo Marina district of Lagos.
Sheikh Mansour Williams Obalola. His father was my his father was my stepfather. So I was somehow brought up in Sheikh Mansour Williams' father's house at Agboleoke on the Lagos Island. And so his own mother, I think, was the third or fourth wife of his father. So he's a junior brother to me. For him to even have a school, you know, for children, for pupils, that goes to show how a disciplinarian he is. Because if you are not disciplined by yourself, if you yourself are not disciplined, I can't see how you can establish a school where you have to deal with children who are just growing up, where you are going to mentor people from different homes, from different characters and things like that. So that goes to show you that he is a very disciplined man.
Historically, Eko is one of the earliest communities in what later became Lagos State of Nigeria to receive the benefits of Western formal education, with the advent of missionary schools established by various churches. In spite of the fact that about 95% of the population of Eko was made up of Muslim adherents, these missionary schools were enthusiastically patronized, especially by members of the community's elite, including the Williams family patriarch, who sent his young son, Prince Muhammad, to the Aminu Kosoko Kindergarten School, Iga Kosoko, Ereko, Idumota, where he commenced his educational journey. Not to be outdone, however, these schools were soon followed by their Islamic counterparts, as reputable movements such as Ansaruddin, Ahmadiyya, and others also began to stamp their educational footprint on the social landscape of the area. After his primary education at the Ansaruddin Primary School at Alakoro, Marina, Lagos Island, the young Prince Muhammad proceeded to the prestigious Ahmadiyya College, now known as Anwar College, which was established at the time as the Islamic equivalent of such icons of Western-style educational distinction as King's College, St. Gregory's College, St. Finbarr's College, and Igbobi College. The practice among the elite class in colonial Nigeria was usually to dispatch their children and wards off to England in search of the proverbial golden fleece as soon as they had concluded their secondary education. The Williams family was no exception. Before being sent off, however, the young Prince Muhammad Mansur al-Mansur Williams was first obliged to get some work training in Nigeria, in preparation for which he enrolled at the Marina headquarters of the Nigerian Customs Preventive Service, which was a required step towards a career in the Nigeria Customs Service at the time.
I got recruited into the customs accidentally. I never for once prepared to work with customs nor any other organization of any kind. After my secondary school education, while awaiting my movement from Lagos to England, the type of training we had in those days, every morning, Daily Times newspaper, and other dailies will be dropped at our father's table. And after the head of the family must have gone through it, we too will have access to it. And one particular day like that, and usually I would have retired from a boy's room into my mother's bedroom, of course, with other wives, of course, you know. So that particular day, I instead of flipping through the newspaper at my father's sitting room, I decided to retired in my mother's bedroom, and when I was in my mother's bedroom, going through the daily newspaper, Daily Times, of course, there was this advert calling for recruitment of Lagos State origin into Nigerian Customs. Of course, Nigerian Customs headquarters was just a stone thrown away from my house. It was at Marina. My house is on Ereko. It's just some 10 minutes walk. Oh, no, sorry. Less than 10 minutes walk. So I just maybe out of what, I just left my mother's room and I walked into the place. Guess what? There are people already on queue. I joined the queue, and you know, I'm sure people will say, what is this man talking about? But that's the reality, that's the fact. And before I know it, it was my turn And then I was asked to step onto a particular stand that has facilities to determine your height, your this, your that. And I believe it, I got recruited into the customs. Just like that.
He followed this up with further training at the police college in Kaduna and thereafter at the customs training school, Harvey Road, Yaba, Lagos.
We were dispatched to customs training place at Harvey Road, Yaba. So I had a training, and before I know it, I was posted to Apapa Premier Port. From there, the next thing I saw was my passport printed, my passport notice in the daily newspaper. Then the next thing, being dispatched to England. Then after my sojourn in England, I returned to Nigeria for National Service. National Service posted me to Ministry of Finance. That time, as a foreign graduate, whenever we are available, we start our NYSC, not what they have now. Then I've had a baby girl. My brother says, since you are now a father, you have to sort yourself out before back in Nigeria, and the mother.
At the end of his training and in the course of his stewardship with the Nigerian Customs Service, the young Prince Muhammad Mansour Williams eventually departed the shores of Nigeria for England to study for a degree in accountancy. However, that plan had to be adjusted on account of which made it impractical for him to be away from his family, especially his aging parents, for the 7 years it would take to finish his studies. It was a change which called for him to shelve his quest for an accountancy degree for a course of shorter duration, namely marketing, of which he had been an ardent student and to which he would add other important business-related certifications in later life.
I studied in England. I had in mind of reading accountancy. The dean of my department had a meeting with foreign students immediately our resumption. And among the questions raised with us foreign students, among the questions were, do we have aged parents back home back home in our various countries? Some of us says yes, some of us says no.
By every measure, the young Prince William's studies, and indeed his entire sojourn in the United Kingdom, was highly eventful. For the most part, it was either in the classroom or out of it during field work, or as so often happened, traversing Europe in search of business and commercial opportunities. There was never a dull moment for the entrepreneurial instincts of His Eminence, Prince Muhammad Mansour Al-Mansour Williams.
I did a project with the Stock Exchange of England, and that brought about my project being recognized and sponsored by Standard Chartered Bank of England on courier service. And immediately I paid a visit to Nigeria, met with then President of then Head of State of Nigeria, General Obasanjo. I had a meeting with him and one or two other members of his cabinet, and the general just remarked straightforward that you young man, it's like you want to enter into competition with our P&T. I said, what is P&T? I asked him, it's alive. He said, Post and Telecommunication. I said, no, sir. This one is not a post and telecommunication. This one is courier. This one is delivering of whatever that needs to be delivered from door to door, for one and one. It was like, this young man. That was the end of that. I had to return to England. Only for me to pay a visit the following year. Only for me to visit Nigeria the following year on holiday. Then there was this one around the Yaba area called the World Courier Service. There's someone said that it was your project. So that has been what this country is, and with that we can't move anywhere.
A year after his graduation, the life journey of His Eminence Prince Sheikh Mohammed Mansour Al Mansour Williams was nearly marred by a harrowing experience closer to home. The West African nation of Liberia was mired in the bloody aftermath of the April 12, 1980 coup d'etat led by Master Sergeant Samuel Doe, which toppled and swept away the leading members of the previous ruling class under the regime of President William Tolbert in a shower of bullets. While in the capital Monrovia on a private visit to the family of the then Speaker of the Liberian Parliament at the time, known as the Henrys, whose patriarch, the Honorable Richard A. Henrys, was among those executed in the aftermath of the coup, Prince Williams was caught up in the deadly whirlwind of events there and nearly lost his life. Fortunately, he was able to escape a tragic fate, shaken but unhurt. It was an experience he was never going to forget in a hurry. On his return to Nigeria, His Eminence Prince Mohammed Mansour Al Mansour Williams resumed his employment with the Nigerian Customs Service in earnest, beginning with a posting to the Federal Ministry of Finance, under whose purview the Customs Service was at the time, for his mandatory one-year National Youth Service. And so began a short but eventful career which over the years had its fair share of highs and lows, punctuated by periodic postings, promotions and recognitions, as well as no small amount of workplace drama and high-stakes intrigues, much of which was politically motivated.
I am again with NYSC, posted me to Ministry of Finance. While documenting me, discovered that I was once in the customs. From there, my file was brought out, and I was dispatched to full field as a custom personnel. This time around as a senior officer, and I didn't have to go for further training again. That was his sojourn.
Prince William's controversial departure from the Nigerian Customs Service in 1984 marked the end of an era, but also the beginning of a new one. As he consolidated on his private business interests, marketing a wide range of products locally and internationally, he also inculcated the same business principles and the same marketing savvy that has ensured the exponential growth of his businesses and commensurate increase in his net worth into his family members, especially his children. He also went on to acquire further academic and professional certifications, all of which undoubtedly came in handy when it came time for him to venture into the challenging field of educational management with the establishment of the first Islamic English Education Foundation, FAEF Academy. No one has been more instrumental to the phenomenal growth in the profile and fortunes of Prince Sheikh Mohammed Mansour Al Mansour Williams' business, and in particular the FAEF Academy, than his devoted wife, Olori Mariam Antonia Nneka Mansour Al Mansour Williams. An ethnic Igbo by birth, originally from the community of Umoji in the Idemili North local government area of Anambra State, Nigeria. She met her future husband in the 1990s in Lagos.
I must say that my husband is one of the most misunderstood person because of his disposition to things and because of his ruggedness in having his way and all that. So a lot of people may even openly pronounce, kind of. But to be honest, he's one of the nicest person I've ever known. He's kind, he's philanthropic. He, like I said, he's an extremist. If he want to give out, he give out without looking back. That you yourself, you wonder, why are you doing so much?
As their relationship blossomed, so did her interest in the operations of the FAEF Academy increase. And over time, she began to get more and more involved in its affairs, even a Lagos-based law firm at the time.
I engage people running the school for me. They were unable to do it as the vision I have or the vision I saw. So in the process, I was forced to engage. I brought Lebanese. They failed. All the school was being managed by foreigners, the Sudanese. Couple of them, both male and female. It was about that time I met with my wife. The school has been years before meeting her. When I met with her, because of our discussion, I let her know I have a school that is not on the page. It's not. So, and that time, she works with a law firm. She now said to me that I should allow her to be visiting the place, and they're updating me. I said, okay, no problem. So, our earlier submission was terrible reports about what she discovered. And in the process, after a while, she said, I should allow her to be more visible. But from day one of this school, I enrolled my children in this place from day one. I would draw some of them from schools like Fountain School at Adelabu in 1985 to this place.
From a very early stage, and my dad obviously being the owner of IF, we had to maintain kind of a gap in the relationship because I've had to see him as every other student saw him and not necessarily as a dad. And when you look at the school year and the school calendar, you do spend most of the year in school as opposed to being at home. So I would say at the beginning there was almost that kind of hierarchy in terms of, oh, this is the owner of the school I attend, and then very few times being my dad. But we see that up until graduation and graduation from 5, and then he became my dad.
The relationship between these two personalities was a highly improbable one by every measure, as they came from such disparate backgrounds. He was Yoruba and she was Igbo. He was an Islamic cleric and an ardent scholar of the Quran, and she was the daughter of Chief Albert Musa, known by his traditional chieftaincy title of Onowu, who was a staunch Christian.
Yeah, I met with her. The cross, the Christian or the cross, Christian sign of religion, the cross on her neck. In the places on my neck, I think my neck will break. I met her with the most macro skirt you can think of. She was barely returned from England to Nigeria at that time. I met her with already a suitor, being an Igbo woman. I met her with so many hopes and dreams. She embraced my vision, not my dreams, but my vision. And that she's always there. So whenever it comes to me to further encourage her, to elevate her spirit, I do that. Among which I did, as I said, either yesterday or today, telling her that beside God Almighty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are the next person I know and do see. Whenever I look forward, whenever I look at my front, you are there. If I check my back from the mirror, I see you there. If I look at the sky, you are there. If I look at the ground, you are there. Left, you are there. Right, you are there. All around me, you are always there. I couldn't have asked for more.
And they have the kind of relationship where they are friends, and you see that they can talk to each other all the time. They can talk to each other at any time, and it's nice to see that because you know that they have that connection. They can lean on each other. There's never a bored moment kind of between them. They always make each other laugh. They always kind of nitpick on each other and look for each other's trouble, which, you know, it's obviously keeps the relationship alive and keeps the fun around between the both of them. They obviously work together as well, so there's that relationship and that connection to from personal life to work life.
While His Eminence the Prince came from a paramilitary and business background, she was from an academic background. Expectedly, therefore, this relationship was not without its fair share of opposition and other challenges. How did they surmount this opposition? In the end, as the Sheikh himself likes to put it, it was simply the call of destiny.
She's a mother, she's a sister, she's a friend, she's a companion. Guess what? I'm the only thing she has. That I know. That I know. That's why whenever, you know, till date, she's yet to have a Yoruba name. That she already she knows her Yoruba name, but she has not been named, but she knows the name. I continue asking her to wait until when she will be ceremoniously be given the name. I pray Allah to spare our lives to be able to celebrate such.
The union is blessed with 6 children, 5 females and 1 male. They are as follows: Princess Mrs. Miriam Morayo Benson, Princess Mrs. Bashira Adebodun Hyman, Princess Khadija Mansour Williams, Prince Muhammad Baba Mansour Williams, Princess Asma Mansour Williams, and Princess Mrs. Aisha Nkechinyere Mansour Williams Garba.
I would describe my father as a very loving man, very industrious, very meticulous, very disciplined, very principled, very wise, and a lover of Lagos State, of Eko, the real Eko. He's a passionate lover of Lagos State.
My dad is a wonderful father and grandfather. He really enjoys having his family around, especially his grandchildren. You should see the way he watches them with love. I remember one day he was at my house and we're in the garden, it was summer, and he was dancing with the children to Nigerian songs, and you could see everyone was having a good time and you could tell he was happy. I remember another time he was with my son. Then my son was 2 years old. And they were playing. My son was making him take toys back and forth, and he kept him on his feet for quite a while. And I remember even I was saying, Daddy, sit down, thinking about, he must be getting tired. But he just carried on, and you could just tell that things like that bring him so much joy. Also, my dad has a good sense of humor. He enjoys a good laugh. And he has this way of injecting humor into different scenarios to kind of make light of the mood. One of the things I also remember about my father recently, when I had my daughter, and I was going to name her Adiola. And I remember talking to my dad about this. And he could tell the love he felt for my mum. And, the way he felt that love for my daughter. And he thought about the name. And he put so much thought into it and how it would be lovely for my daughter to share that name, mainly because it was my mom's name and it's something special to him. And that's how we hold family. We're special to him.
My dad is definitely an onion. There's lots of layers for sure. I think he is definitely one of the smartest people I know. I say that all the time. I'm always running to him for business advice, work advice. Very smart, very intellectual, very intuitive as well. He has a great foresight, so it's a good person to to kind of help manage things, because he can, it will probably envisage what is going to happen before it even happens and can guide and manage. And of course, a great entrepreneur, a great visionary as well. You can see with Fayef, and a strong kind of bond with the family, keeping everyone together, checking up on everyone, making sure that everyone stays really tight, close-knit and well-connected.
I would describe my dad as a very principled man, and one of the first things that comes to mind when I think about him is Islam. So my dad is very known for his faith, and he translates this into his everyday life, his everyday activities. You can't miss that about him. It's really just there. He's also a disciplinarian. He owns a school, as you would have seen from like most of the video. He owns a school, and so he has to have that element of discipline in him, which also reflects in how people see him and what he does on a day-to-day basis. But besides that, he's a very fun person. He loves to dance. He likes to move his body. He loves like exercising, and just being fully there in anything that he's doing. But he's a very fun person. He's very chatty. I really love chatting with my dad, and I think that's a side of him that most of his family see, and not everybody.
At the time of this production, the couple is also blessed with 5 grandchildren, namely Princess Amina Tamilori Benson, Prince Ramadan Shemilori Benson, Princess Fatima Darasimi Benson, Prince Kamis Oluwajimi Hyman, and Princess Monsura Ella Adeola Hyman.
My father's relationship with his grandchildren is a very, very loving one. My father dotes on his grandchildren. They love him so much. They always look forward to spending time with him. Whenever they are with him, they hardly want to leave him, because he's always telling them stories of his childhood, and they're always fascinated. He always encourages them to speak Yoruba, to learn Yoruba. He will tell them, when next you're coming, you must know how to greet in Yoruba, you must know how to say this in Yoruba. They love him so much, and he loves them equally.
His love for the children is, he spoils them as much as he can. Today, far more than he do spoil me. Even what they don't crave for, he makes sure he crave for it for themselves, for them, and make sure they have it. And I'm so grateful to him for that, because today our children, they don't look left and right or whatever. Whatever it is they've seen today, they've already, enjoy it, with us.
Having imbibed the life lessons and values inculcated in them right from their formative years by their parents, the Williams offspring have gone on to prove their mettle to the outside world, recording impressive academic, professional and personal milestones of their own, to the pride and delight of their devoted parents.
My dad is a very disciplined and principled man, and that's how a lot of people would describe him. And I think that stems from the fact that he's a lover of excellence. He wants everything he does to be very, very good, outstanding. So he doesn't expect less from anyone around him. So he would demand the very best from you. So he would not let you be ill-disciplined, and he will not let you not give your very best. So working with my dad, being with my dad, you must always be willing to give an excellent output.
A lot of us have been impacted by his discipline and his principles. I would speak for myself. Because of my dad, I've unconsciously picked up a lot of traits that have helped me in my adult life. For instance, he's made me to become very independent and not to rely on people. And as an adult now, I see the benefit of that, because one of the easiest ways to get things done for yourself is to believe in yourself and do it on your own.
That discipline definitely helps. It really helps. because when we first went to college, when we first lived away from the family, you do realize that there's certain things that you do and then you don't realize it kind of picked up from not being able to do certain things or just the way we're being brought up. And I can definitely attest to the fact that if there's anything about my life so far for my adulthood, is that I've definitely been more not necessarily disciplined, but just more respectful of life in itself and just of my person, because I've been able to pick up on some of those values. I'll call them values, not disciplines, actually, values that the discipline instilled in me.
Yes, my father is a disciplinarian and he's very strict. I completely agree. But he's a man with very high expectations and he's very principled. And I have seen in different scenarios where he wouldn't accept less than the best, either from children or adults, but he also he gives the same of himself. One of the most comforting things about having my father as my father is that I know he's always praying for me, my children, my husband, and my siblings. And for that, I'm eternally grateful for the loving and kind father that I have.
I always say to people, despite his disciplinary disposition, he is a very good man who thinks of others, irrespective of who you are and where you come from.
The coming of Olori Mariam Mansour Al-Mansour Williams into the administration of the Five Academy has over the years brought about a transformation in its profile and fortunes, so that the institution has asserted itself as a center of academic excellence in line with its mission statement, namely, to create an enabling environment where great importance is attached to quality teaching blended with strict moral upbringing according to Islamic tenets, wherein emphasis is placed on the total empowerment and development, spiritually, physically, and academically, as well as its overall vision, which is to inculcate qualitative secular education along with uncompromising, thorough, modern-day Islamic teachings, culture, and values supported with Quran and Arabic language.
In this school, the children are taught how to read and write Arabic. With that, they can hold Quran at any given time and read it and understand it. Then, they have been trained on memorization of the Quran itself. This memorization is different from now when they are good enough in memorization, now reading without looking at the text with what we call tajweed.
In line with its mission and vision, therefore, the Five Academy emphasizes the teaching of religious subjects such as Islamic religious knowledge, Islamic jurisprudence, Quranic memorization, and Arabic language.
As the name of the school connotes, that is the First Islamic English Education Foundation, we lay particular attention on the two sides, that is the English aspect of education and the Islamic aspect, without compromising one to the other.
The school also organizes weekend classes in Arabic and Islamic jurisprudence for adults. This all-encompassing educational paradigm is aimed at orientating the children while still at an impressionable age on morals, ethics, and basic decency, including how to dress, eat, sleep, and conduct themselves in public.
Yeah, the standard year in year out has been consistent and just increasing and improving, and I think being in a position to see it from two different angles, from two different views as well, you do really see that these kids are well-mannered. It is actually baffling to see they are very well-mannered, and I think if kids can go out into the world with this level of training, then you just almost always know that the sky is only the starting point, really. So yes, I'll say it's definitely even done more than enough.
An ultra-modern co-educational institution, Five Academy boasts of nursery, primary, secondary, and advanced sections. Its day-to-day operations and the general ambience of its premises are a model of organization. Each classroom, for example, seats no more than 20 students, with male students on one side and their female counterparts on the other. Ablution points within the premises are also separated for male and female students and staff. The same goes for the 50 toilet facilities situated on the premises.
We have well over large water reservoirs. We have over water reservoirs. Children that uses ocean as they like, 5 times a day. Water bathing, not 10, not 20, not 100 of them. Bathing morning and night, washing of clothes, toileting.
Thanks to this uncommon excellence, both in academic and moral upbringing, Fayev Academy has enjoyed numerous recognitions, awards, and honors from multiple stakeholders in the sectors of education and youth development in Lagos State and beyond, including the 2008, 2009, and 2021 National Quality School Award, an annual honor instituted by the Quality Management Development Institute in Lagos to recognize educational organizations